Okay.
Yeah, so how did I meet you? What was going on? And then how did Phil
Right.
come into this orbit?
And who is Phil?
Who is Phil? Fasting with Phil? Fasting
Phil,
with Phil?
exactly.
Fasting
yeah.
with Phil.
Fasting with Phil.
Is that PHASTING? Fasting with Phil?
Yeah.
Pretty
Anyway.
hot
Right,
and
right.
seriously tasty.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that
Okay,
works.
yeah.
Pretty hot and seriously tasty.
Anyway,
Yes.
so this month marks my 7 years with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Followed you from a different business
Yeah,
and
yeah.
came here when you opened this place
Right,
up. And,
right.
I had been pretty sick for a while and I didn't know why.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been sick for over a year, just no energy,
Right.
no nothing. And
Mm-hmm.
a dear cousin of mine who's been gluten-free for years, and I would
Okay.
like roll my eyes at her.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talking, and she lives in Pennsylvania, so nowhere near here, but she said, you really need to check out functional medicine.
Okay.
I'd never heard of it.
Mhm.
So I came home and I began researching and came upon this place, and I went, oh, well, this looks promising, and made an appointment, and there it was. And to have a consultation and be told answers.
Right.
Like, I'd been going to doctors,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no answers,
Mhm.
all sorts of tests, and they're like, yeah, you have this, you have that, you have the other thing, but we don't know why.
Yeah.
To be told why and understand I'm not crazy, there's
Mhm.
actually underlying causes for this,
Right.
and it's not, with autoimmune, so many times stress sets that
Totally.
off.
Totally, yeah.
My mother had passed away, and a year after she passed away is when I began getting sick,
Right. Right.
and so then I spent that year, and so, anyways, you did all these wonderful things with, neurological exercises and diet and lifestyle changes,
Yeah.
and I just became this whole other human being, and it was wonderful.
You were back.
And so, of course, I've been gluten-free now for seven
Right,
years,
exactly.
soy-free, usually dairy-free.
Yep.
But I want to say, because it's going to come up here maybe, is that it's not a one-size-fit-all program either.
Sure,
Like,
sure.
we're
Right,
on
right. Everybody's very
completely different
Yeah, totally.
diets,
Totally, yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
But at any rate, since then,
So that maybe Jack Spratt and you're his wife? Because you can't eat any fat and I can't eat any carbs.
the
No,
wife
no.
could eat no lean.
I know.
And
but
by the way, I'm not his wife.
no,
So,
no.
anyways,
I'm laughing just because I know.
I have recommended a lot of people, and a
Yeah,
lot of people
yeah,
have
thank you.
taken my
Thank you, yeah.
recommendation,
Yes,
and
thank
my
you.
mother-in-law.
Thank you.
And but anyway, so this is my brother by choice,
Mm-hmm.
Phil. So this is my brother,
Because I'm so awesome.
and we've known each other for over half of our lives at this point.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yes.
Wow.
That, see, finally you got to see me true. Because you keep arguing with me when we met, and you're wrong.
He's wrong, but that's okay.
No.
It's this way all the time. Every
No,
day, all
I
the
am
time.
right because it was the February after I moved to Elko in
I mean,
'95.
the dynamic. The dynamic is.
It was early
yeah.
fall. But at any
It was
rate,
February.
it was not.
It was.
Okay, so
Right.
I recommended him to come to you because he had some issues that he needed taken care of that I knew that you dealt with.
Mhm.
He'll talk about those, but I don't know if it was the traumatic brain injury that really was the thing that kind of caught my mind, like, hey, you
I
could,
think
if
yes,
that's what
yeah.
it was, because you don't have a car fall on you without there being, and you changed.
Yeah.
Your personality changed between before and after accident.
And that was explained because, apparently I'm brain damaged.
How did you do that? I mean, that was.
Practice.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think he's a drinking man, but after this, you might want to go. Anyway, so
Yeah.
you can go ahead and tell your story now. So you did come to him. I
Yes, yes.
twisted your arm enough.
Because, I've been listening to you for so often and you were talking about, at the other place you're at, all this, oh, we're going to look at a holistic approach and blah, blah. And of course, I'm rolling my eyes because I'm a very, rational person. I'm like, okay, well, doctors go to school for all this time to learn stuff. Okay. And then I had the last car accident, which is why I know it was in February, because the second time it was a car accident in May. It was the car accident in May, because I was having a car accident like every 10 years in May.
Interesting.
So I know that. So you're wrong.
Mhm.
Just admit that you're wrong.
I'm not, and one day
Anyway.
you'll figure that out.
Anyway, so basically I've had OCD and depression all my life.
Mhm.
And I had been on medication for that before, like traditional psych medication.
Mhm.
And one of them, I became a hyperactive monkey. I could not sit still.
Mhm.
And my doctor at that point was like, we're done with that. And then he put me on something else. And then I would sleep for like 18 hours a day.
Wow.
So it was like, no, we can't have that.
Right.
So I had to get off that, and of course, you know, depression would worsen and worsen and worsen, and bad things were happening. And I think it was around the same time, no, it was a few years later that I started seeing you, but it did get really bad in 2016. It got really, really bad in 2016.
Okay.
So, I mean, I made a phone call, and fortunately I couldn't end that phone call, and that's what stopped some
Okay.
bad things from happening.
Yeah.
And then I was sitting there talking to her, and she's like, please, since your car accident, I had a really bad car accident in 2006. And she's like, there's been these things. And I called you,
Mhm.
and we talked about the Tinzer brain imaging,
Mhm.
because they didn't have that back at the time. And of course,
Right.
the hospital
Right.
never did any head
Of
imaging,
course.
which they should have done, because,
Mhm.
hey, I was in a rollover car accident, or
Right.
whatever.
Right. Minor
And then-
detail.
And then we determined that, you know, like again, I am brain damage. And it was also in the area that actually controls OCD, or that is affected by OCD, so that's why we think that that worsened.
Yeah.
And then we did the genetic studies that said, yes, you're also drug resistant, so yay, all that fun stuff. So we've been looking at different things. In the meantime, we also found out I had metabolic syndrome, which, because of that, the high cortisol levels and the hormonal imbalances affect depression and anxiety and OCD and all these fun things.
Mhm.
So, you know, we've been sitting there trying to find therapies, and one of my biggest forms of OCD has always been human contact.
Right.
I mean, I
Right.
detested it, I've hated it,
Uh-huh.
and in a lot of ways I still do, because humans.
Mhm.
And it's funny because everyone's like, well, is it the germs? I mean, I'm clean, do you want me to wash my hands? I'm like, no, it's not that. I've never understood why.
Mhm.
I mean, I have some thoughts on it, and it goes way back to childhood. I mean, like
Mhm.
pre-childhood, because my mom was like, you didn't like being held as a baby. You know,
Interesting.
I didn't really breastfeed, and there's gonna be a lot of people going, that makes so much sense. A lot of Freudians are gonna be like, yes, we understand you much better than that. You know breastfeed, yeah. So, anyway, that's one of the Venezuelan Nazis, you know, goes from German to yeah. But anyway, so yeah, so we did that, and then we started seeing you, and that's when the fun began, because, oh man, so many emails I got to send. It's like, you're like, hey, what we're gonna do is you're gonna soak okra in water overnight, and then you're gonna drink the water in the morning. And I'm like, I know you have a bet with someone. And the moment you tell them I'm doing this, they're gonna have to like go stand on a street corner in like a Frozen outfit or something. I don't know what it is, but I know you have a bet with someone, 'cause this is just weird. But then, you know, the research came up,
Yeah,
and I'm like,
yeah.
okay, so there is research that it does actually help, like with the metabolic stuff and, you know, the insulin resistance and all that fun stuff. It's like, okay. And then I still remember the day that you're like, so what I want you to do is to start fasting.
Mhm.
Oh no, now doctor, you've gone over the deep end. This is worse than when you try to take my tea away.
Right, 64
Yeah.
ounces.
Yeah, he
64 ounces
tried
of
to
tea
take
a
the
day.
tea away, and it
Right.
never happened. I mean,
No, we
I
did
don't
for like
think
3 months.
your patients don't rarely get their way.
Right.
But
Well,
he was like, no.
I
not
no, it
happening.
was like about 3
I think
months.
that's 3 months,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Did you
think-
do 3 months?
Yeah, for 3 months, yeah.
Mhm.
Because that's when Michelle, another friend of ours, sent the information about the cortisol levels and caffeine.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, oh crap, I have to stop doing this. And my coworker said, oh, you're such a joy to be around. Such a joy. 'Cause,
As
you know-
opposed to his normal happy self.
Oh, yeah. So, we can talk about you trying to take the tea away, because that was a fight.
That was-
And I'm back to tea, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, in the hot days, I'm going up to like 2 gallons of iced tea now, so yay.
Mhm.
But that was the fun, because then you called me up and you're like, well, you can have all the coffee you want. Oh, joy, because I
That
love
was- that's
coffee so
exactly
much.
it. That's exactly what I said.
And I'm like, this body was not built by starving itself. No, that doesn't happen.
Right.
And then, and you're like, you can have all the coffee you want. I'm like, I hate coffee. I don't care. I'm not doing it for coffee. And they're like, well, you can have tea. Now I'm listening.
Right. Yeah.
Now I'm listening.
You gotta know how to bargain.
Yeah, and
On
then
this
you're like,
side and this.
and then you like recommended Jason. We can.
Jason Lund,
Yeah,
yeah. Uh-huh.
You're like, go look, because one of the fun things that I think you've got to is like, okay, I'm gonna tell Phil these things, but first I'm gonna say, here are the studies,
Right.
and when you
Right.
know that when you
Yes.
finally admit that I'm right,
And that's something I do appreciate, because
Yeah.
first off, I know you study constantly.
yeah.
go
I mean,
home
yeah.
before
somebody-
midnight sometimes.
Somebody
Yeah.
comes in with something
Right,
you
right,
haven't
yeah,
seen,
yeah.
you're gonna research
Yeah,
it and
yeah,
figure it
yeah.
out and so on and
Yeah.
so forth.
Yeah.
And he does the same thing.
Right.
Because he's skeptical and,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
he's a researcher. But what I appreciate is, you're a busy person. I may not always necessarily be able to get a hold of you
Right,
quickly.
right.
And I can run things by him and he has an answer too.
Yeah,
And I know it agrees
Exactly,
with you,
exactly,
so.
yeah.
Because,
Because
you know,
I'm not
we
the
think similarly,
researcher.
yes,
I'm the, here's my life, it's in your
Right,
hands,
yeah,
please help me.
Yeah.
See, and I'm not that way, because, you know, I've had doctors that get upset about that, because I'm like, it's like, well, we're gonna have you start on this drug. No, you're not. Because I know what the side effects of that drug are. It's not gonna happen. Recently, I mean, as recently as January, was it January? December, January of this year, I had another doctor, he's like, well, we want to put you on this medication for your insulin and everything else. I'm like, no, you're not. Because all you're gonna do is you're gonna try to increase my insulin levels, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna increase my insulin resistance, and no. And that's gonna burn everything out, and I'm gonna have all these effects. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So we're going with that, and some doctors don't like that, but you're like, okay, so I'm gonna tell you this, you're gonna do the research, and then when you finally have to grudgingly admit I'm right, and not send me I know you're trying to win a bet. And I really wish I had kept a lot of this, because there were some fun ones. I don't know if I showed them with you, like, the one I wrote, you was like, here's how I imagine it went. You're sitting there in your castle top evil lair, stroking your white cat, and your little friend over there with the eye patch goes, okay, for 50 points in the world domination game,
Oh my god.
what you must do is get one person to soak okra in water and then drink it in the morning. Ha you will never find a person foolish enough to do this.
I'd like to say I've never in my life had okra water, so.
It's delicious though. It really is.
Yeah,
That's
he
not
hasn't,
bad.
he hasn't diagnosed me as insulin resistant. If he does, then I will. And
Well, yeah,
who
but
knows,
you
I
should-
might be.
Yeah, you should do it anyway, because it's kind of like cucumber water, only with a southern flair.
Well, I like okra. I'm growing okra right now.
Are you?
Yes.
I'm growing okra.
See
Well,
that
hey.
way? See, and here's the
There we
fun thing.
go. There we go.
Harvest your okra,
Uh-huh.
soak it in water,
Yeah.
fry it up for your breakfast,
Mhm.
There you go.
and then have, a nice, yummy
It's
okra
actually a
juice.
diuretic too, interestingly. Not that that pertains to anybody's medical history, but it's really interesting. It's a diuretic. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, that's like I said, so you would send me these crazy things, and then I do the research, and you would send me other crazy thing. I mean, it was like, oh, bitter melon. Do
Right,
bitter melon
right,
in your
right.
coffee. So we're back to coffee. We're back to coffee again. And then, of course, Dr. Funk's also like, coffee with cream to help with the
Right,
fasting.
exactly.
And then you're like, bone broth. And I'm like,
Yeah, if you don't get the right stuff, it's.
no, it is. I mean, but there are some good ones that
Yeah,
release now.
if
I
you
just
don't get
found
the
it,
right.
Yeah.
And then if you don't make it right.
You want to
also.
tell them what's wrong with the Rayleigh's bone broth in urine?
Oh, yeah, the bone broth right across from the candy aisle. So it's like, hey, here's bone broth. So when you're
Oh my
fasting,
gosh. Oh my gosh.
so you're fasting and you're like, not eating everything else, we're going to have this right here, but here's the delicious jelly bellies. And we have them sorted out because we know you're OCD.
So they're really
So-
catering to you.
So
Yes.
what's the longest, if you don't mind, you don't have to answer this, what's the longest you fasted?
5 days so far.
5 days.
And I'm now working
So
on 7
close.
days because
Yeah.
I think you said that you had another patient that was trying to go for 5 days, and I'm like, oh no.
You can't
Yeah,
have
right.
them best you.
No,
Right,
that's
exactly.
mine.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
that's true.
I can't go as long as he has, and I know fasting, the intermittent fasting is really a thing. I find that it's not as difficult as it seems. Now, you wanted me to fast one time, I forget if it was like 2 days in a row, and it was a mountain I couldn't conquer.
Right.
Because I just had that like in my head of,
Yeah.
it was horrible. But, now I can go for a long time and not,
Now you're used to it.
but I
And
wanna
by
say.
the way, I'm not telling any of you to fast. It's not
No.
medical advice, but this is what
No,
we
no,
did. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I will say, now your fasting is, we talked about the different kinds of fasting, and
Yes.
you've got a different diet than I do, because
Yes.
I'm gluten-free, soy-free,
Dairy free.
mostly dairy-free, occasionally I do have some cheese, I just gotta say, on occasion,
Understood.
you know,
Yeah.
But that's
different things.
But the thing is, what kind of cheese are you having? Because like the harder cheese and stuff, it has like less sugar
He's
content.
he's never told me I could have a harder cheese.
Because is it the lactose that you're trying to get away
Totally
from?
different mechanism.
Yeah.
Okay.
totally
Yeah.
different, yeah.
So.
Oh, because mast cell. So yeah, I
Yeah.
can have all the cheese I want.
I know. So, but it at least took away. So
Oh,
tell
it's
what you
about
do eat, because you're not completely
No,
not
not
eating.
completely. Because there are like the 3 different types of fast. I mean, the main theoretical 3 types of fast. You have your dry fast, which is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like you don't eat anything, nothing. You don't ingest nothing. No food, no water, nothing. And that is sustainable for maybe up to 3 days because the body needs water and everything else.
Right.
And then you have what's called, the wet fast, or just like another fast where you can have liquids.
Mhm.
And A lot of people will do maybe tea on that one
Mhm.
because of the meditative and how tea affects ghrelin and all this other fun stuff, the hormonal stuff in your body. Not everyone does coffee. So that one you can sustain depending on your body composition and everything. You can sustain that one for a much longer time. And for me, I could probably go about 3-4 years until I'm like really in fear of like becoming malnourished or running out of energy. But so you have that kind. So dry fast about maybe 3 days, 2 to 3 days, and that's usually more religious or more like I need to fit into this dress, so I need to drop water weight or something like that.
Right.
The wet fast is sustainable for a long time, and then you have like an insulin fast, so more your intermittent fasting. And what you're trying to do with that one is you're trying to break insulin resistance, and you're trying to get your hormones and everything under control. And that's where you have like the coffee, maybe with a little bit of cream, and bone broth and that kind of stuff to help the body get into that. And I don't know, we can get autophagy later, but then I do kind of the modified insulin one where, because I'm looking at not having an insulin response, so I might have like some cheese sticks because I love cheese because cheese is awesome.
Bite me.
No, because you're not cheesy. And if it
I'm
ain't
so
cheesy, don't go down.
cheesy.
Anyway, so I'll sometimes do that, the bone broth, and then I'll have coffee, but then a lot of tea. But it also gets to the point, so if you're thinking about fasting, no, I'm kidding, but it also gets to the point where once you start doing it, usually that 24 hours is the bad part. And then from 24 to 48, it becomes more, the body says in the first 24 to 36, the body's saying, we're hungry, we want food, we're not used to this. And then between like 36 to like 48, I find, that's where it's more psychological. And then when I go up to like the 60, like I have been like the last 2 weeks, well, prior to this one, so 2 weeks prior to this week. This week was only 47, but at 60, it's more along the lines of you're not feeling as hungry. You don't really feel hunger. When I go to eat, what I would normally eat like for one meal, I'm now bloated and I feel bad.
Yeah.
Because your body gets to the point where it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we don't need it.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of other effects of people want to start fasting. They have to understand it. Especially if they're metabolic and they're watching their levels and like their blood sugars and everything else. They are going to go up. And it seems counterintuitive, but the reason they're going up is that you're burning through the glycogen, you're burning through the stored glucose in the liver, that's getting dumped in your system. But people need to remember, so when you start burning fat is 3 glucose molecules tied together with I forget exactly what the other one is, but that's why it's called a triglyceride.
Right, yeah, because
So you're
it's a fatty
breaking-
backbone with the sugar.
Yeah, so you're breaking that thing, that's releasing the ketones to burn that one, but then you're also releasing glucose back into your body.
Right.
So that's what the body is doing. It's like, okay, we're gonna release the stores, and now we're gonna go into the fat, and that's what we're looking for. So extended fasting with a combination of intermittent fasting, and then some of the other fun stuff to break that insulin resistance, to bring that down, and then you kind of go from there. So,
Which should always be done under the direction of a doctor.
yes, always, maintain it. And it does get fun in the beginning. And then what's really fun is I think Sherry and another friend of ours, sometimes sitting there going, oh God, he's fasting again. The videos are going to get stupid. Because we do a lot of video chatting.
Right.
And it's like at midnight, I'm like, I had a great idea for a TikTok. And they're like, go have breakfast, let your brain get some food,
You're right.
and then start to think if you really want to do that
Well, and
again.
you do work different hours,
Yeah.
and I think that also affects your fast also, because there's like, oh, I could break it now, but it's almost midnight, and so I'm just gonna wait and go
Yeah.
a little
Just
bit
gonna keep
longer.
going.
And then, and
Yeah.
so the first time I did like the really extended, the 44 was accidental like that too, because I was coming out to see you, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna see him tomorrow, but I'm gonna fast now.
I
But
remember
because,
that one.
but because I live 2 hours away, I was staying at the hotel, and I'm like, oh, all hotels have good restaurants. But the one I chose to stay in, all they had was like a noodle place. I'm like, I don't want that many
Yeah.
carbs, so I
Right.
just go find something in the morning. I'll go to like Denny's or something, and then I just never did. And then it was like 44, and I'm like, oh, well, this is actually doable. So now we're looking at 7 and maybe more. So
And then this year you've had some breakthroughs, correct?
yeah, yes. The OCD is like much better, where I've actually had willing contact with people, and not just because they wanted to fight. No,
Like, I get a once a year birthday hug,
Okay.
and then for Christmas, he gets no hug. That's
Yes,
a gift
yes.
to him.
yeah.
Makes sense.
But since we started the new stuff, it was about December, I think. Since, I mean, a lot of things got better, so now like a lot of my mental stuff is like shifting over to where it was before. It was like,
I know. He's like, I don't like this. He's making me better. I
I know, right? No, I mean that's actually true because there
Yeah,
have been
yeah.
some times where I'm sitting there and I'm like going, "Oh, great! Now I have new mental issues, and it's because of him."
I'm less hateful than I was before.
Well, no, I think I can still be hateful, but I'm more cheerfully hateful, I think. But no, I mean, there's like, because I've been alone for so long, and that's why I preferred. And now it's like, well, maybe I don't have to be, but society says, well, we don't like you, so you're still going to be alone. But now it kind of bothers me a little bit more. So.
But he has been, like, he had time to get some work done on his house
Oh yeah.
so that there could be an actual guest room that perhaps.
Which I still need to finish because you see that you'd be like, oh, now we got bipolar problems going on. No,
Yeah.
no. But I mean that's only because the house almost burned down. So
Right.
But things are shifting.
Yeah, things are-
To where
Just
he'd
the
actually,
element
like-
that,
Yeah.
shaking hands and things
Yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
and not being detested of that is.
Do you still mostly just fist bump though?
because it's such a habit. And
But
it's,
if it came up and it's like, okay, there's gonna be a superior officer here, whatever, and you would need to shake their hand, could you handle it?
nobody's superior to me.
Yeah.
But no, we did have.
We are live.
You're just still mad because I'm the favorite.
I told you I don't think it's either of us. I'm pretty sure it's my mother-in-law.
No, I know it's me. He tells her that so that. Oh wait, she might be
You guys are
watching.
so
So
funny. You
he
guys
tells
are
her
so
that because
funny.
she's such a wonderful, delightful
You guys are
person.
so funny.
No,
Oh
but
my gosh. But yeah, we're having breakthroughs.
yes. So yes,
Yeah,
so there's that.
yeah.
But yeah,
I mean, he literally has been working at preparing his house so that perhaps my husband and I could come
Which is
visit.
amazing. That's
You know,
amazing.
he's always he's welcomed me into his life. I've
Yeah.
stayed over.
I don't know if I welcomed you to my life or I just got resigned to the fact that you were going to be there. I think maybe that's what.
And
it
the
was.
warm, fuzzy
Really?
feelings are there all the way around both those statements.
Happy Christmas in July. It's not a proper family holiday if you're not fighting. If people's feelings don't get hurt, it's not a holiday.
We'll have to do another one of these where I tell exactly how we actually met and the thoughts that went through my mind.
In order for you to actually tell them how we actually met,
Mhm.
you need to remember how we actually met, and
Oh
you're
my
wrong
gosh.
on that. And what she's going to tell you is because I was wearing a very nice vest. It was a tactical vest. She's going to
I
say,
think we've covered important parts.
See,
Anything
that's
else
where
you
she's
guys
gonna
want to put in?
Anything else important?
no, just don't listen to them. Do your own research.
Yes.
No,
If
actually,
you're not getting the answers you want from traditional medicine,
Mhm.
come to Gates Brain Health. Seriously, you
Thank
won't
you.
you won't
And-
regret it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
free consultation
Free
still,
consultation,
right?
yeah.
Free consultation. You're not
Yeah.
losing anything except
Right,
some
exactly,
time.
Exactly.
And if
Yeah.
you're unhappy at that point, okay, but
Mhm.
and like I said, it may not be for everyone. Like the traditional psych medications were not working for me. And the side effects, like I said, were just so much worse than the condition. Because I had lived with the condition for so long, I know how to manage it. And there were times like I had a coworker had to eat his M&Ms in the bathroom. That still bothers me to this day because it was I didn't realize it was affecting people around me that badly.
Mhm.
And so yeah,
Mhm.
but now my coworker has a messy desk, and I'm just not gonna look at it. And,
There you go.
wow.
yeah,
There you
so,
go. Yeah.
So
Huge progress.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful to know both of you. And this story is just fantastic. Yes.
and who's the favorite?
And on that note, thank you both of you.
Yeah, we
No,
know
it's great.
we know who the favorite is. So.
My mother-in-law.
Sure.
Part 3 to come later.
Now we need to bring her in.
Oh
Right.
my gosh. All right, everyone, if you have any questions, let us know at info@gatesbrainhealth.com. Any closing comments that both of you have?
No, just give it a try. I mean, like I said, it may not
No.
end up being for you, but
And I've been here for 7 years, and I'll be here forever. And maintenance is not easy.
Right, that's the hard
always.
part, yeah.
I got married and have put on a lot of weight, and that's a whole challenge. It's just different and other things going
But
on.
so many
I
people
can-
go through that, and that's real.
Right, and,
Yeah,
but I mean, I'm here. You
The
just
reality,
don't. You
exactly.
don't throw in the towel when you
Right.
face a challenge.
exactly,
So.
exactly. and we keep getting better.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Love it.
We're gonna shut up now so that you can sign off.
You're
Well,
funny.
you're
All right,
awesome.
guys. We'll see you soon. Shameen.